So it's you, Deputy, I think, first question, isn't it?
Yeah,
yeah, 30 seconds.
The first question, Minister, is in relation to the issue of small schools, and particularly as well the value for money report, which you have in your hands. And I would ask, Minister, how long have you had that report now, and why is it that it hasn't been published? There's been the small schools in particular are under very severe pressure, and there's been particularly concerns raised in relation to minority ethos and schools, where minority denominations are under particular pressure, and any change to our small schools policy would be particularly difficult and dangerous for them. So, Minister, I'd like you to outline the current situation with regard to that.
I want to thank the Deputy for his question. I'm currently considering the report of the value for money review of small primary schools, and I'm doing this in consultation with my government colleagues. My intention is to publish the report on completion of this consideration process, and I'm not in a position to give a precise publication date at this time. The final report, subject to confirmation from memory, I think I received in the middle of this year, towards February or March, but I can come back and give you that information, Deputy.
Yeah, thank you. Well, Minister, I don't believe it's good enough that report has not yet been published. I don't see why you should have been sitting on it for, you're indicating, maybe 9 months at this stage, nor I don't see why you can stand here and tell us that you can't give us an outline either as to when it actually will be published. It's been in your hands. I'd ask you, why have you not published it? Why are you not consulting with other political parties? Why are you not consulting with the educational partners? And alongside, Minister, you're sitting in this particular report, we've seen a situation whereby there's been cuts every year to the pupil-teacher ratios of 2, 3 and 4 teacher schools. As I pointed out to you earlier, this is something which is massively concerning to those small schools. And just to quote Ken Fennelly, of the Church of, who's speaking on behalf of the Church of Ireland schools, he indicated that if the government goes down the line of looking to wind down schools of less than 56 pupils, it will have a very disproportionate effect on minority faith schools. Now, we've seen a situation, Minister, whereby there has been reports in the media that a threshold of 85 pupils has been set as the optimum number and the minimum number that the government will be looking to set for schools. Yeah. Can you confirm to me if that is the case? Yeah. And can you also confirm to me, Minister, that you will publish this report, because we fully believe, and our party on this side of the House, we need to be supporting those schools, not allowing a situation to continue whereby there is a threat and a cloud hanging over them. Thanks. Thank you.
Well, I'd remind the Deputy that the report in question was commissioned by a former colleague, Minister Mary Coughlin, who represents, as you do yourself and will in the new constituency, represent all of Donegal. There are a set of proposals in the report. It took a long time to be completed and to be checked. There are ongoing discussions because of the sensitivities that you talked about, and I'm not in a position to tell you when the report will be published.
Well, I'm not particularly worried who commissioned the report, Minister. What I'm concerned about is what is in it and what you're going to do about it. Anybody can commission a report, but it's your policy and your responsibility now as to how you lead our education system, and particularly as well how you treat our smaller schools. And what we've seen from you has been a reduction in capitation to those schools, was the removal of the minor works grant, which you've now put in temporarily, reprieve this particular year. And we've also seen every single year under your stewardship the numbers in those schools, or the numbers those schools need in order to retain the number of teachers they have, actually be cut. And we see, Minister, a report today in the Irish Independent whereby 1 in 5 schools are concerned as to whether or not they will be able to keep and retain the number of teachers that they actually have. We also have a situation, Minister, whereby although you may be professing publicly you don't wish to close schools at a time when you're actually making it more difficult for them to exist, you're creating an atmosphere where you have a double jeopardy effect, whereby you're letting it hang out there that there may be a question mark over them. And what happens then, Minister, is you have parents who have students and children starting school wondering whether their children will be able to complete their 8 years in that primary school. The effect of that is that many of our primary schools are questioning whether they will be able to exist, And your continuing delaying, without any rational or reasonable explanation, in my view, of the publication of this report, simply accentuates and,
Deputy, please.
and makes this
Deputy,
position
the time is up
much
now.
more
Everybody has to
concerning.
stick to this
Thank you, Daíl.
new regime.
There are a lot of concerns in this area by many people, representatives of rural Ireland, which I'm listening to, and to my colleagues in the Labour Party and in Fine Gael. There are complex issues involved here in terms of the future, and I understand that. I've tried to provide, within the constraints in which we found ourselves 3 years ago, in effect, just about, where we made a reduction in, or a disimprovement, if you like, in the pupil-teacher ratio for small schools. In order to provide some degree of certainty and to enable school communities to plan for the future, the very point that the Deputy has made, I outlined what would be the situation over 3 years, so that school managements and school communities would be aware of that and could make whatever decisions or choices that they wish to make in relation to any other schools in the area beside them. There are no further proposals, Deputy, for any other changes in the pupil-teacher ratio for schools.
And